Tables in HTML. Throughout these videos we've been creating websites and placing information on the page, but it hasn't really been structured very well. It's all just been left aligned and not very well organized. Well, now that we're learning tables, we're going to learn about organization and how to organize our images and our text and our navigation and all that stuff by using tables. Tables are used to separate content on the page, and tables always consist of rows and columns, and each row runs from left to right, while the columns can split up those rows and run from top to bottom. So to get started here, go ahead and open up Notepad++ with your HTML template, and the first thing we're going to do is just jump into the head tag and create our title tag. And let's go ahead and title this Tables. Now a table is, let's go ahead and open up our body tag here a little bit. Our table is nothing but a tag that is known as a table tag. It has the table name and then the left and right angle brackets around it. Now just having the table tag in here and putting this is a table and saving that document, running it in your browser, it'll show up on the page, but it really still has no organization. It's almost like using a paragraph tag there or anything. It doesn't really do anything we want it to do. In order to make this table do something, we really need to put in a table row, which is used by creating a tr tag. And even with the table row, you're not really supposed to put content inside of the table tag or inside of the table row tag, but you are supposed to put content inside of the table data tag. And that is why it is known as the table data tag, because that's where you place data in there. And it's also known as it's also known to create columns as well. So now that we've created our first table tag with our first row and our first column, let's go ahead and put in this is our first column. And we're going to save this document, refresh in the browser, and you can see that it just looks normal as is. But if we were to add an attribute to the table tag here of border and put a border of 1 on there so we can see what this table actually looks like, and refresh in our browser, we can see that it's surrounded by a table here. And now if we wanted to separate the content even more, we can add another column in here. And by adding that second column in there, we'll refresh it, and it'll add the second column. Now what happens if you wanted to add another row to it? Well, you go after the closing row tag of the one prior and open up a new table row and put in a new table data and close out that table row. And inside here we'll put this is our second row, first column. And let's go ahead and drop one more in there as well. This is our second row, second column. And we'll go ahead and save this, refresh in the browser. And as you can see, now we've got different rows in different columns. Looks to me like the border is a little too close to the text. And what can we do in order to separate this out? Well, we can use a attribute known as cell padding attribute and cell spacing attribute. Now you can add this to each individual column or each individual row, or you can add it to the entire table by itself. So let's go ahead and add it to the entire table first by putting cell spacing equals 5. Go ahead and hit save and refresh. And as you can see now, our entire table here is added a little bit of spacing in between the outside border there. And if we add another attribute in here, cell padding, and that's going to equal 5 as well, save our document, we have now just added a little bit of space from the text to the border. And as you can see, if we dump this border here and just put a 0 border there and save our document, this could really come in handy for organizing your content on your page without anybody knowing the wiser. You don't see how it's organized, but you just know that it is because it's in separate areas. So for instance, let's say in our first column here we wanted our logo to go here, and in our second column here we wanted our navigation to go here. Well, we can go ahead and start typing in our navigation, and then I'll go ahead and save this file, hit refresh, and we've already started. What happens if I wanted to merge these two columns together so that way we can put all our content down there? Well, in order to do so, I'm going to go ahead and use an attribute called column span. We want these two columns to join together, so I'm going to put col span, and it's going to equal, and since there's two columns, we're going to put 2. We're going to go ahead and actually delete this bottom column because we don't need that. We just need one column, save the file, hit refresh, and as you can see, we've got one column down on the bottom here that we can now create content in. Well, it looks to me like our logo is a little too close to our navigation, so let's go ahead and spread this out a little bit. First thing I want to do is make sure that I put inside the table tag a width attribute, and the width is going to equal 100% in this case. I'm going to go ahead and save the file, hit refresh, and let's go ahead and turn the borders on again so we can see what we're working with. And what it's done is it's separated our content all the way across the screen here, and let's say our logo is a little longer than this. We can also add a width attribute to our logo data table here, and we're going to equal that to, let's say, 600 px. I'm going to go ahead and save this, hit refresh, and now our logo is 600 pixels long, or we can change it to maybe 40%. Save it, hit refresh, and now it's 40% width of the entire page. What happens if we wanted to, instead of doing a column span, we wanted to do a row span? Well, we can do that as well. Let's do it in our first table data tag here. We'll do row span, and that's going to equal 2. Going to hit save, and hit refresh. As you can see, our logo now covers 2 rows instead of 2 columns, and our content is over here. So as you can see, creating tables, you can do multiple things with them by separating your content out. If we wanted to create another row below this, put in another TD, rest of the content goes here, and we'll close that out, save that, hit refresh, and we're on our way to creating our very first website.